Unchained is among the newest of the decks in Master Duel, stealth dropped in the latest selection pack, which was an interesting move from Konami. Can't say I was too ready for that. But anyways, hopefully a deck like this can force its way into the meta to shake things up a little bit, because I know people are awful tired of Snake Eyes. Given the fact that we just got Bonfire and Butler, I don't know. I don't know if Unchained is going to have what it takes to push its way up into those higher echelons of play. But ultimately, it's still definitely going to be a very viable, potentially tiered, potentially high rogue option for many, many people. Now, the list in front of you looks a little bit odd, and I know that. We're going to talk about a ton of different sort of tech options and engines and things like this. Unchained is an interesting deck to where you really have to sort of pick a balance between sort of engine, non-engine, bricks, and starters. And there's a whole bunch of decisions you have to make when it comes to the building of. What we're going to do is I'm going to show off a one-card combo off of Tour Guide, which I'm sure some of you have seen, but I'll show off for the people who haven't. I'll show you how to get into a pretty decent board off of just Tour Guide, which is going to be good. Then I'm going to show you off a replay, and then we're going to do some live gameplay. And at the end, I'm going to talk about all of the different various options and variables when it comes to you building your deck, alongside what you need to play, what you need to know, and what you maybe don't need to play. So without further ado, if you are at any stage enjoying this video, of course, if you find it useful, informative, entertaining, anything at all, make sure you like the video and subscribe if you're new to the channel to catch stuff coming out every single day. I'm not going to waste your time here. Let's just get into the combo. Alrighty, so all we're going to be focusing on in this particular hand is Tour Guide. Now, we will be summoning out Shayama later in the thing. This card can be summoned from hand or deck. It's a little bit unfortunate to see it in hand, but honestly, it doesn't really matter. So ignore this card, pretend it's still in the deck, right? So we're going to be starting off with just Tour Guide. Normal summoning it, of course. This is going to be your best normal summon in the deck, by far. It's not even close. And we're going to special summon out the Fiendish Rhino Warrior from the deck. That's it. Then we're going to link to right away into one of the new Unchained cards, Unchained Soul of Yama, or whatever its name is. We just call it Yama, right? Unchained Soul Lord of Yama, sorry. Lord. So now we're going to use these two cards. We're going to go Unchained Soul Lord and the Fiendish Rhino. Now, it's kind of important the order in which you do these. Not really too important, but, you know, it's nice to get it right. So we're going to go Fiendish Warrior. We're going to mill a card here to the graveyard. We're going to send the Shawarma. Again, not its name, just what we call it. And then we get to add a card from deck to hand. Normally, you're going to add this, the Aurora, the Fire Twin, right? So add the Fire Twin to your hand. Then we're going to use the Unchained Soul. We're going to set any of our trap cards to the grave. Usually you want to set Escape because you will be recycling this card later. So you do typically want to have Escape, depending upon what's in your hand, of course, right? So now we're going to go Aurora. We're going to pop the Escape of the Unchained. We're going to summon Aurora out to the field. That's going to trigger Escape of the Unchained, which is going to summon another Unchained monster from your deck. That's where you go into Sarama, which is your Dark Twin. So Sarama then is going to activate. We're going to place Escape of the Unchained back onto our field face down. So you got that pop for next turn, and we're all going to pop the Aurora, which is going to trigger to special summon the Water Dog. Normally you do it from deck. On this time we're doing it from hand because unfortunately we opened up with it. We're just going to summon it from the hand. It can also be summoned from deck. It's the same thing. So now we're going to use these two here. Going to go Shayama and Soul Lord into Rage. Unchained Soul of Rage. Then we can use the Water Dog in the graveyard. We're going to pop the Sarama, summon itself back to the field. That triggers Sarama to special summon a monster from the deck. Now, you've got a couple of options here. You could go Unchained Soul Yama to bring back the Fire Dog from the graveyard and then summon Abominable Soul from your deck off of Sarama. Personally, and this is more just like a personal preference thing, I like keeping Yama in grave for during my opponent's turn so that I can react much more explosively to potential interruption and such. So I think that the Yama is a little bit better in grave, but different people play it differently. You can go pedal to the metal, full fucking gas if you want to, and play even more into your board. But I think overextending in your board is a bit of a mistake sometimes. Sometimes you want to take a step back, play slow, play control, play to win, right? That is the aim of the game. Now we're going to use our two level 6s to go into the High King Caesar. And here you go. So this is pretty much the board off of just Tour Guide, Escape of the Unchained, Unchained Soul of Rage, and the Wave High King Caesar, which is basically 2 Summon, Negate, and Destroys. Not once per turn, once per material. So 2 Negate and Destroys. You can link off an opponent's monster during their turn. And you can link that off into a bunch of things. You can link off into a Unicorn for a bonus interruption, so that would make it 5 interruptions. You could link off into Mask Arena if you're playing it, and then go Mask Arena into something else. So there's quite a lot of ways in which you can use this to not only be an interruption itself, but also to go into additional interruptions, right? You can go Goddess, you can go Unicorn, IP, all that fun stuff. So this card could realistically bump your deck from anywhere from 4 to 6 interruptions, depending on which extra deck monsters you choose. And then lastly, of course, the Escape of the Unchained. Popping a card you control and a card your opponent controls. Now this is even better if you're able to put your Unchained Abominable Soul in the graveyard, which is good, right? I mean, it's a good card, but it's definitely not necessary or mandatory by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, pretty simple board. You could make it slightly more explosive if you wanted to use the Yama during this turn in order to summon out Abominable Soul, but like I said, I would rather not do that. I would rather keep that for the sort of explosive follow-up, right? But that's just me. That's the combo. Let's get into the replay. Already getting into our replay then. So this is actually going to be us going second against Labyrinth. Very interesting game here. We are going to go for Infinite Impermanence on their Ariana, of course. They're going to go Lady Labyrinth with the Silver Castle, though, so they've got that big bad boss in hand already. 3 more cards in hand. We do negate the Ariana, which is pretty big depending upon what our opponent has. Solid enough. They're going to set 2 and they're going to pass. So our opponent actually had a pretty decent hand here, as you're going to see with these 2 face downs. Top deck in the DD Crow, we're going to normal summon out our Turgate summoning the Rhino. They're going to go for Big Welcome, and this is why I like Ghost Spell right now, because Labyrinth is going to be very popular, even more so than before, and Ghost Spell is really good into many decks, but especially Labyrinth. So now we're going to go in the Yama, just like before. Yama going to get Surgeon, our Fiendish Rhino going to get Milling. All well and good. We've already got Escape and Aurora in hand. They're going to go Transaction Rollback on the Unchained Lord. We could technically have Chain Block this if we wanted to with the DD Crow, but again, we're going to have more than enough disruption on this turn to where it's not really going to matter. So they're going to go Fiendish Rhino. We're going to mill, of course, our Red Dog. Fire Dog, I'm going to activate and grave. We're going to play the Wheeling of the Unchained onto the field. I actually wanted to use this card because it's a really nice board breaking tool. I initially wasn't playing this, but then I went back to playing it, and I really like it. So we're actually going to use its active on-field effect here. We're going to go Escape of the Unchained, summoning Saram up in the deck. We're going to bring back Escape of the Unchained, popping Aurora. Now we're going to use Aurora and Grave, summoning out the Water Dog and Yama into the Unchained Soul of Anguish, triggering Willing to pop the back row, and then we can use Anguish to link off with his monster into the Unchained Abomination. Now, Shayama popping Sarama, going to summon itself back to field. That's going to trigger the Unchained Abomination to pop another card on the field with Sarama, bringing back a monster from our deck, summoning out our Fire Dog, which is good. Getting rid of the Ariana, into the wave King Caesar, and just like that, easy lethal with a full board of disruption as well. Pretty good. Deck can definitely break boards. I think Wheeling is low-key a really good card for that exact purpose. It's not even necessarily a brick most of the time because you can still just sort of set it and pop it, right? So it just acts as an additional sort of back row for that purpose. But ultimately, it was a really good game, especially against a deck like Labyrinth, which is going to be super powerful in this upcoming format. So I'll take it. Let's get into some live gameplay. Alrighty, getting into our first live game and winning our first coin toss, which is nice. Now, this deck is really, really powerful and has an absolute ton of 2-card starters, which is good, right? But the fact that it doesn't have that many 1-card playmakers does make the deck feel somewhat inconsistent at times. So what we're doing is we're playing the deck in such a manner that we're trying to increase or maximize the number of 1-card plays that we have, which means playing a couple of unorthodox cards, but we'll get to those in a moment. We're going to start with Dark Contract of the Gate. We're going to use this. We're going to search our deck for the Vase Requiem. We are playing Kepler. We're playing Kepler just to act as additional copies of Dark Contract because, like I said, we want as many 1-card plays as we can get. Does this card... Yeah, no, it just adds contracts. So we're going to go Vase King here. Gonna place Vase King in the Pendulum Zone. Then we're going to activate its effect to pop the contract to play itself onto the field. There we are. Perfect. We're not going to change its level. Its level doesn't matter because we're going to immediately rank it up into Deus Machinix. We need to go into Deus Machinix not only to get its active effect under the Deus Machinix, but also because it locks us into triple Ds as long as it's face up. So we need rid of that shit. So now what we could do is we got a few options. We're going to normal summon the Rhino Warrior. Not a card you really want to see in hand, but not the worst thing in the world because we do have the Aurora to pop it, which is nice. So we're going to pop that, summon out the Aurora. That's going to trigger the Fiendish Rhino Warrior. We're going to send to Grieve a Fire Dog. That's going to help us set up a back row, right? Because whenever the Fire Dog's sent to Grieve, we get to play one of our Unchained cards onto the field. So we'll get to play Escape of the Unchained. Nice, nice. Now we're going to use our Divisor King. We're going to activate the effect of Vase King Requiem underneath it to pop the Escape of the Unchained. That's going to allow us to, well, first we shuffle this back. We're going to pop Escape. That's going to allow us to special summon out from deck another Unchained monster. So we're going to summon the likes of Sarama here. Here we are, perfect. Sarama then going to activate. We're going to pop the, we're going to bring back Escape of the Unchained and we're going to pop the Aurora. That's going to trigger this card. We're going to summon from our deck another Unchained. We've got a couple of options. We could definitely just go for the Water Dog here. I would say is probably the way to go. Yeah, let's just do the Water Dog for now. Now, we're going to use the Water Dog and the Divisor King to go into Yama. Look at the Yama. Yeah, let's just do Yama. Yeah, that's fine. Yama's nice to have in grave. We could just go, like, raw into Soul of Rage here, but we don't need to. It's fine. Straight into the Unchained Lord. That's going to grab us another card. So we get to grab Sarama. Unchained Abomination is also a really good card to have here. We don't really need the Shawarma card because we kind of already have the resources we need for that play. So I think we're going to grab the Abominable Unchained. And this is going to be a useful card to have in hand during our opponent's turn specifically. So we're going to use this now in grave. We're going to pop the Sarama. Going to summon it back. Great. Going to use Sarama's effect now to summon out another monster from deck, essentially. Now we're also going to activate our Unchained Soul. This is going to basically just be our extender into Soul of Rage, right? Pretty simple. So out this guy comes. Sarama then, and having the Yama in grave is what I'm talking about. Having this guy in the graveyard for Yama during our opponent's turn is going to be sick. So we summon out a level 6. Not triggering your effect, don't need to. Don't need to use the Blue Dog's effect either. We have all the extension we need. We're going to go into the R Caesar. Perfection, and now we're also going to go into our Soul of Rage. And we're Gucci, right? We're back up to our M board, which is awesome, right? Hell yeah, we've even got Ghost Bell in hand. We've got a card in hand to discard as well, which is fairly important because you're going to need a discard for your Abominable Unchained. But in general, this is a pretty solid board. Playing into a 6-card hand, no hand trust from our opponent there, which is interesting. There's going to be, a lot of people are sort of going along the routes of trying to break boards rather than trying to play hand traps to prevent them from being set up. And it's an interesting approach. It definitely has its merits, I would say, for sure. I'm not sure if it's better though. It's definitely not so much my style. I'm not a huge fan of it. I would low-key rather you just didn't have Unicorn actually. If he has another one in hand though, this place sucks. If he has another one though, this play fucking sucks, dude. Alright, let's not go crazy. Let's see what he's playing first. We don't even know if he's playing Kashtira. He may be playing just like a Kashtira engine and a Snake Eye deck. Theosis. Okay. Hang on. He did have another card. Okay, that's fine. Now we know that. That's okay. We know that he had the out, which is good. Okay, Rise Heart. Alright. You gonna special the Rise Heart now? Or are you gonna go Theosis first? Ooh, he did go for the Rise Heart first. That's interesting. Okay. I think I'm gonna go for the Unchained Soul of Rage here. Yeah, I am. I'm going to go for the Soul of Rage here. I'm going to take that Unicorn of his. And we're not going to go into, like, Unicorn or anything like that, because he will... actually... No, we don't... No, we don't got to do anything like that. Okay, that's fine. So I'm probably going to go for Anguish here. Just so that I still have an Unchained monster on field as a target for Escape of the Unchained, right? That's the priority here. So you're going to, I would imagine, go Theosis. We just need to give Theosis, right? And then we just win. Don't we just win? Unless he's got something else up his sleeve. I don't really know what he does about this, if I'm being honest. I don't need to clear his board though. I don't want to give him more cards. We're gonna drop this, and this is cool as well because dropping the red dog from the Caesar triggers the red dog's effect to set another card to the field. So we actually get to play another Unchained card, which is awesome. So most people, this is where you play Chamber. I'm actually gonna play Wheeling because if this does actually go back to my turn, I want to make sure I've got that OTK potential, and this card's going to help a lot with that. And worst case scenario, I just pop it like I would anything else to summon a monster from deck. So it's no biggie. See, this is the card that I didn't want to see. Have you normal summoned? He has normal summoned. Okay, hang on. Use each effect once per turn. Okay, that's fine. So we are going to pop this, but I'm going to wait till he triggers its effect first. Banishing the Fenrir from the deck. The one-off Fenrir. Now we know where Fenrir is. That's good. We know where Fenrir is. Banishes our one-off Rakia. That's unfortunate. That's very unfortunate. I actually don't have to pop this. I think I would rather, though. Yeah, I would rather. Alright, we're gonna pop you and you. Hail, yeah. Keshtira Birth fizzles out. Now we've got Unchained Soul of Anguish, which will add a card from graveyard back to hand, so we can grab ourselves some follow-up. Let's grab ourselves... Oh, we can grab the Shawarma. That would have been nice. Sarama's a really nice card to have back in hand, so it is. It's a really nice card for follow-up. And I think I'm going to go for Sarama. Sarama's super nice for follow-up. Then we're going to go Unchained Lord. This is normally where you would go for the likes of Abominable Soul, but given what my opponent is playing, I actually want to go into Anguish again. I actually want to bring back the Anguish that I just got rid of, because of the fact that I don't think going into next turn, my opponent's going to have much of a board here. So I want to be able to link shit off and pop as much of his field as I possibly can. Right, and Anguish is going to let me do that. So this is me banking on the fact that we've already, yeah, pretty much shut him down. Yeah. He didn't have very much left that he could possibly play. He had already used Unicorn. He couldn't get his Fenrir. It was gone. Already used Birth. Already used Theosis. Already used Right. Like, he's already used everything. So there's no point in me preparing or disrupting a board that doesn't need disrupted. Sometimes you got to invest in your follow-up, invest in your next turn so you can actually secure a game. But yeah, easy dub. Next game. I'm very, very tempted to play Mask Arena and like a small Mask Arena package in my extra deck. The extra deck can feel... The extra deck's weird. It's both like not tight at all, and like it kind of feels somewhat restraining. I kind of want to take out Nightmare Griffin potentially, and there's a lot of cards I'd love to fit in. I really like 3 Yama. I know some people are going to be playing this card at 2. I really like 3 Yama, because sometimes on turn 1, I'll go through 2 of them. So if I'm in a position where I have like a decent amount of extenders, or if I'm forced to play Free Interruption, sometimes, you know, I'll summon the first one, use its effect like we normally do, but then I'll use its graveyard effect as well on my turn. And normally if I do that, I want to put another one in my graveyard for my opponent's turn. So I'll go through 2 of them in one turn. So sometimes that left me on turn 3 with no Yama, and I really wanted to have Yama on turn 3 no matter what. So I really do like 3 of this card. You can play 1 Rage, I guess. You don't have to play Darius. You can drop those. There's Griffin. You can drop that. So there's 3 cards I would say you can very safely drop. And then you could play like maybe IP, Abelos access code type thing for more sort of generic links for turn 2 during your opponent's turn and turn 3 for OTK. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of options. I'm just floating ideas out to the universe. This hand does nothing. this actually does nothing, huh? And this is why I'm not a huge fan of this package here. And I'm going to talk about that towards the end, right? I'm going to talk about packages that are good and bad, the good, bad, and the ugly, and why people play certain things the way they do, because it doesn't always make sense, and that is important to note. Everything has its place, but some cards in their place are rather tenuous compared to others. Because this would be great if we had like any of our back row, if we had any Unchained card, anything at all, this hand would have been great, but we don't. right? And sometimes you're not going to. Sometimes it's that simple. So we're going to have to basically just pray and survive. Cult by an Ash is enough to get us through this turn. And hopefully we draw something. Machinix does not have an active effect here, unfortunately. Its effect is not live. Epitaph. Oh, you're playing Lab, aren't you? That's a furniture piece you're debating and activating. He must have a good hand if he's debating on it. Usually it's a no-brainer. Okay, stand by. This one's going to be tough. But again, I'm actually kind of glad this has happened because I do want to show off to an extent the brickiness of the deck, and I'm going to talk about where that comes from and what causes that, as well as potential ways in which you can remedy it. Because a lot of the consistency modifications you can make to this deck are very much ceiling versus consistency, but not in the traditional way where it's like, oh, I'm going to play more bricks to get more power. That's not it. It's like your consistency engines also have bricks, and it's like you need to draw the line somewhere. And I'm going to talk about which ones you can play, which ones you should play, which ones you shouldn't play, that sort of thing in just a moment. We are, of course, first going to Ash Blossom this dork. Don't need him summoning anything off Big Welcome. That's cringe. Got Lady, though. Nothing engraved to call by, which is a little bit unfortunate because I can't chain block this card right now. Which kinda sucks, not gonna lie. Kinda sucks, but Big Welcome being gone is huge. Huge. No, that's dumb. I'm not doing that. Okay, we got Machinix, so we're gonna start off. We're gonna normal summon Rakia. Oh, brother, this fucking sucks. Okay, we've got a few options for what we can do here. I kind of really want to hit Rakia with Shawarma here, but I also want to keep this to chain block the Lady. I might just go straight battle phase here. I think I will. I can chain block off both these back row with Rakia and Shawarma. Oh, I can't. You're only main phase. Okay, this is fine. We're going to use the Shawarma, whatever the fuck its name is. We're going to pop the Rakia. Damn it, I would really love to be able to chain block that card. I guess it's only a threat if we allow him to survive this turn. If he doesn't live the turn, then it's not a threat. Right? That's how that works, right? So we're going to special summon a card from deck. We're going to summon out the Sarama. Sarama. Now we're going to go these two. Machinix serves little to no purpose on this board, whereas Sarama is still going to be pretty useful here. So we are going to go for Yama here. That's going to trigger Yama and Shawarma to set a bunch of cards to our field. What is its actual name? Sharvara? Sharvara? I think this R here triggers me. I don't like this middle R. I think this middle R sucks. That is my linguistic analysis of the word. That's the only thing getting me. Oh, that fucking sucks, man. Oh, that's a name perm column! Fuck! If this other card is welcome, I'm in fucking trouble. I am in trouble if this other card is welcome. Setting Big Welcome to field, okay. So we don't get to search for a card, which unironically doesn't matter. The Yama effect is very, like, overrated. A lot of people you go against really, like, target this card and negate it. And its effect is neat, but it's not. Assuming that I have cards, I don't need it. I've already got what I need. I don't need it for any... I don't need it. We're going to bring back Rakia. We're going to pop the Escape of the Unchained here. Oh, this card's face down. That's annoying, but it's fine. Escape of the Unchained going to activate. Because this can still be popped off of, like, you. So it's not the worst thing in the world. Going to summon out the blue dog. Le water dog. Water dog, I actually kind of want to use this now. So we can use this to basically pop a card that we control to pop a back row. So we're forcing we're forcing this exactly. Spell cards, okay. That's fair. Aw, oh, damn. That's fine. Whatever. No spells here, buddy. We're gonna pop Rakia. We're gonna then, I guess, destroy Big Welcome. Just wiping out the board. Just cleaning up. That's it. That's all we do here. So we got Sarama, we got the Blue Dog. So we're gonna go Blue Dog and Yama into a Link Monster. Could do Anguish. Just Rage, I think, is enough here, honestly. Just Rage, I think, is enough. Could also... So if I use you two to go into Muckraker, right, and then I discard a card for Muckraker to bring back Sarama, then we can go Muckraker and Yama into Unchained Abomination, and then I can still do Blue Dog into Wave King Caesar. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do. I'm gonna see if this line works the way. Oh, it can't be used as Link material to turn it summoned. Glad I didn't do that. Glad I didn't do that. That would have been a mistake. That would have been a terrible mistake. So we're going to use these two here, going into Blue Dog. Hell yeah. Now we're going to pop a card off of the Blue Dog. We might not have the gas for lethal here, but we're at the very least going to really put the squeeze on our opponent. So we get to bring back a card off of you. Well, actually, no. We can easily go for lethal off of Yama here. What am I talking about? What am I talking? I forgot that Yama is such a good card. So Yama's going to bring back the level 6 from the grave. Right? So if we decide to go Caesar, we still can. We're not going to destroy a card. And then Sarama is just going to summon out our free K beater. Then that's lethal, right? Yeah, 8,800 points of damage. Get fucked, idiot. Alright, we'll take it. Not exactly how I expected that game to go, but that's how it went. Here we are. That is just how it went. Nice. Pretty neat. Let's get a look at the deck list. Alright, so here is the list I was just using. Now, let me talk about some of the engines that you don't need, but are sometimes good to play. So, beginning off with... Some people aren't playing Tour Guide. Technically, it is optional. A lot of people in TCG are having success without Tour Guide because it is somewhat susceptible to hand traps. I think that the card is really good in a format where we have Shavara to 3. Right? I think this card is fine. So this is technically optional, but it's one of the best starters in your deck, so I would not cut this. The ones you can cut are the Triple D engine. So a lot of people are playing the Triple D engine like this. 3 Contract, 3 Wave King Requiem. This does nothing by itself, right? By itself, if you get this and like Dark Contract plus 4 Maxis, it does nothing. You just end on an unusable Divisor King, and if you open up, heaven forbid you open up just Requiem, because this card's useless. It needs to have a Dark Contract on field. So there's a lot of circumstances where this doesn't really feel super impactful, which is a little unfortunate. It is more impactful if you have Kepler, right? Because if you normal summon Kepler, search for a Dark Contract into the Requiem, right? Summon the Requiem, go near Deus Ex Machina X. Now you've got 2 Fiends. You've got Deus Ex Machina X and you've got Kepler. That means you can go into Yama, right? And that means you can link summon. That's still not amazing if you don't have an Unchained card, right? And the thing about that is, if you had an Unchained card, just the Dark Contract would have been enough. So it's a tit for tat, right? It's kind of like one of those things where having Kepler makes that engine better, but the engine itself is still not complete and still needs an additional card to be good. So a lot of people, including myself, just cutting it. Just cutting it. Let's get the fuck out of here. I don't think it's good enough. I don't really like it too much. It just... The deck has enough 2-card combos and 2-card potential to where I don't need more. I don't need more. So you can totally play Triple D if you want more gas, but just bear in mind that sometimes you are going to break on these cards. Sometimes they're not going to be the most impactful cards. Sometimes they're going to save your ass. Don't get me wrong. Like that last game in turn 3, it really helped us to have that card on field going second. But how much would it have helped us to not have any of those cards in our hand to begin with? Right? We could have had something else. So that's just the perspective you got to take sometimes. Some people are playing Rakia at more than one. I'm kind of really torn on this card. I kind of like it at one, because it doesn't do anything on its own, but at the same time, neither does anything fucking else in this deck. Sometimes you just got to accept that you're playing a deck that has 2 card combos. So I'm very, very strongly considering playing Rakia at 2, and then playing my Chamber of 3. So we got 3 of each of the traps, just trying to make them as alive as often as possible. Because we do have the 3 copies of Sharvara in Master Duel. TCG doesn't have that. So we've got the Abominable Unchained Soul as well, which is awesome. We've got this guy, which is great. And the one other card that we're not playing that you could play is Unchained Soul of Disaster. This is a really good card under very specific circumstances. Very good, very strong disruption during your turn when you're trying to break an opponent's board. It also does have that little recursion effect, which is neat, but it's just not... It's awful to see in hand. Like, when you see this card in your opening hand, you cringe. It is the worst card to see in your hand. And for that reason, I think that there's more than enough in the deck to disrupt and to cause havoc and to sort of, like, fuck your opponent up to where you don't really need this guy. And I think that one less brick is important, because we're already playing a bunch of cards that you don't want to see in hand. You don't want to see Shayama. I mean, Abominable Soul is okay to see in hand. But there's a few cards in the deck that you don't want to see, like even things like the Rhino. You don't want to see Sarama, really. You don't really want to see Rakia too often, unless you've got something to go with it and you've got no other starter. So, yeah, we're just cutting down on the cards we really don't need. And yeah, that's my perspective on the deck. Like I said, for the extra deck is fairly flexible. You can do a few things with it. You can cut the Darius, you can cut Rage down to 1 if you want to. I really like 2 Rage, but you can cut it to 1 if you want. And you can drop the Nightmare Griffin, which very seldom comes up, if you wanted to play a little IP package, which I would almost recommend. I think this is pretty decent, because you can do IP during your opponent's turn as a result of your Rage, and then you can use it to go into Unicorn or Goddess later. Whereas if you're forced to go into one of those cards off of the Rage, you miss out on the flexibility of timing when it comes to Mask Arena. So there's that. You do have to use more of your own monsters, though, which is the trade-off, right? That's why you're not going to do it every game. But it is nice. It's really nice to have this as an option. And if you're going to play IP, we do have some good IP targets already, but you could definitely play Apollosa as well. Access Code, also a really strong card, sort of turn 3 to go for lethal. Because your deck is good at breaking boards, but your monsters aren't the biggest. So sometimes you just don't have enough attack points. Not very often, because you do, like you saw in that last game, we can spam out a few bodies, but if you're not able to fully break your opponent's board, you're typically not going to have the attack points to go for lethal. So Access Code Talker can sometimes make the difference there. The Charmers are pretty decent on follow-up turns. The Nightmare Phoenix and Nightmare Cerberus, I'm constantly back and forth on. These 2 cards are really good as Rage targets, right? Because you can pop a back row, or you can pop a Special Summon monster. But it's just, when are they ever going to be better than just going Unicorn, right? So, kind of defeats the purpose a little bit. So I think Unicorn is just better, which sort of defeats the purpose of running those 2 cards. But yeah, you could run like IP. I would still have double Rage for sure. You could definitely run Zeus as well if you want to for your triple D cards. Again, I don't think this comes up often enough, because these cards are really fucking good. So normally you don't want to trade them off for a Zeus, but you totally can if you want, especially later into the game. Yeah. So the deck's super flexible. That's my take on it. That's my thoughts and opinions. This is closer to the list that I would actually run. I just wanted to have the double D engine and like the Kepler and things in, so that I could show it and show that it was usable and show that it was playable. But of course, even in this video, you saw some of the issues that causes. But I'm not going to ramble on here anymore at the end of this video. Of course, if you got this far, make sure you like the video and subscribe if you're not subscribed to catch videos like this coming out every single day. We've got tons and tons of decks lined up that I'm currently working on. We're going to be making videos on, so it's going to be an absolute blast. And with nothing else really to say, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.